From downtown Detroit, Local 4 Live starts right now.
Hey everybody, thank you for joining us for Local 4 Live on Local 4 Plus. Click on Detroit and YouTube. I'm Nick Monticelli. If you're looking to get out the door, that's okay. You can take us on the go with you. Just launch that Click on Detroit app. We have 2 full hours of conversations coming your way on this Thursday, starting in Washington, where a new round of tariffs are now in effect. We're looking at how that's going to impact your wallets here at home. And heading back home to Detroit, there's a new tool looking to get a clearer picture of what life is really like for Detroiters and how neighborhoods can improve. We're going to talk with the person behind this survey that Detroiters can take. And finally, today is National Lighthouse Day. And we are talking with someone part of an organization dedicated to preserving lighthouses around the Great Lakes. And with today being National Lighthouse Day, I do want to hear from you. Our Local 4 question of the day: what is your favorite lighthouse in Michigan? Scan the QR code there on your screen or head over to clickondetroit.com/vote to share your favorite one. We're going to read through some of your answers during Local 4 Live right here, right now. Let's take a live look at the White House this morning, where President Trump is set to meet with Russian President Vladimir Putin. Top Kremlin officials say the meeting will happen in the coming days. Both sides hope to have that meeting sometime next week. On Wednesday, the president said there was a good chance the two leaders could meet and discuss a potential end to the war in Ukraine. So far, though, no word on where that meeting is going to take place. And that meeting announcement comes on the same day as the president's tariff plan took effect, but there has been some last-minute changes and a possible addition. Jay Gray is in Washington breaking all this down for us.
Apple is announcing that it will.
In an Oval Office meeting with Apple CEO Tim Cook, touting the company's promise to invest $600 billion in U.S. manufacturing over the next 4 years, President Trump announces a new tariff on semiconductors and chips with one caveat.
So 100% tariff on all chips and semiconductors coming into the United States. But if you've made a commitment to build, or if you're in the process of building, as many are, there is no tariff.
Specifics, including when the tech tariffs will take place and exactly how U.S. manufacturers will qualify for an exemption, still aren't clear. What is clear, though, is the president's frustration with India.
They're fueling the war machine, and if they're going to do that, then I'm not going to be happy.
Raising the country's tariff from 25% to 50% just hours before the plan goes online as a punishment for buying oil from Russia. Announcing that decision, as Special Envoy, Steve Witkoff meets with Russian President Vladimir Putin in Moscow ahead of a Friday deadline for increased U.S. economic sanctions if there's no ceasefire with Ukraine. The president on social media calling the meeting highly productive and writing, "Great progress was made," suggesting that there may now be a path to face-to-face meetings with Putin and Ukrainian President Vladimir Zelensky.
That road was long and continues to be long, but there's a good chance that there will be a meeting very soon.
A White House official telling NBC News there's no set plan or location, but that the meeting could take place as early as next week. Jay Gray, NBC News, Washington.
All right, Jay, thank you. Heading to Fort Stewart in Georgia this morning. That's where 5 soldiers are recovering after being shot Wednesday morning. According to the Brigadier General in command, Army Sergeant Cornelius Radford opened fire at the base where he works. 5 soldiers were shot and are expected to be okay. We're told Radford used his own handgun and not a military weapon. Other soldiers jumped in.
Soldiers in the area that witnessed the shooting immediately and without hesitation tackled the soldier, subdued him, that allowed law enforcement to then take him into custody.
Well, right now, police are still trying to figure out why that sergeant opened fire. Here at home, a Macomb County man guilty of killing his boss will learn how long he's going to spend in prison. Jerry Motley is facing life in prison, although you're looking at a different photo of a lighthouse right now. We can show you a little bit more. There he is. There's Motley. He's facing life in prison for shooting his boss at Reliable Fence in 2018. Motley came to work armed and shot company owner Thomas Badke, killing him. He also shot a co-worker. This was Motley's second trial after his first conviction in 2019 was overturned. The jury rejected his insanity defense. Okay, this is a live look over Ann Arbor this morning. Today, a researcher accused of smuggling biological matter from China to a U of M lab will face a judge for a plea hearing. According to federal prosecutors, Chung Shan had sent packages concealed with material related to roundworms to a U of M lab and lied to border agents about it. A hearing is scheduled for this afternoon at 2 o'clock. Well, let's take a look at downtown Detroit this morning. And the city has a new tool dedicated to helping make the neighborhoods better. This is called the Neighborhood Vitality Index, and it measures things that matter to Detroiters like schools, safety, parks, healthcare, and city services. It provides free data for Detroiters and groups working to improve their communities. This can also help policymakers make decisions and invest in the right areas. This index is a way to get a picture of what life is really like for Detroiters, and the index needs to hear from you by taking a survey about your neighborhood. So joining us now to talk more about the survey is the person behind the survey and the index, Jay Morgan with JFM Consulting Group. Thank you so much for coming in today.
Thanks for having me.
We kind of gave a rundown, but can you give us kind of a basic idea of what it is exactly you're trying to understand from Detroiters?
Sure. The Neighborhood Vitality Index was developed really by Detroiters with significant resident input over a period of years to identify what's most important to Detroiters. What are the priorities? What do they want community development organizations, the city government funders, what do they want them to focus on in terms of making investments in the neighborhood?
Gotcha. So there will be, or probably already is, a direct link between what Detroiters are saying in the survey to where the money will be spent.
That is definitely what the plan is. It's new. Last year was the first full year of implementation. It's a survey that's going to be repeated annually so that you can see trends over time.
Okay.
And investments will be made as we see changes that are being made or need to be made in neighborhoods.
So if I read correctly, and please correct me if I'm wrong, but about 4,000 people took last year's survey?
Yep, a little over 4,000 last year. We're
Okay.
shooting for a little over 6,000 this year.
Okay. And what was kind of the theme that you saw from some of these Detroiters in the 4,000 that did take the survey?
Well, we saw a lot because there are 6 major areas within the Neighborhood Vitality Index. So, I mean, I can just rattle off a few, and you know, they were at different ends of the continuum. So, for example, we learned that about 75% of Detroiters feel either safe or very safe in their neighborhoods, which was great.
Yeah.
And nearly 80% are satisfied with their overall quality of life, which tracks with national data. So we're happy to see that. At the other end of the continuum, we saw that about a quarter of Detroiters reported that they have access to the supports that they need. So that leaves room for funders, government, community development organizations to come in and help, you know, connect people to supports.
Yeah. What I find interesting is that the survey runs the gamut in terms of categories. You know, you're talking about everything from public safety to resources all the way to a busted streetlight. I mean, it's all in there, isn't it?
It's all in there. It's all in there because it came from the residents. And so this isn't, these aren't questions that were brought in from the outside. And so the appearance of the neighborhoods, access to parks, access to child care, I mean, just everything.
Yeah. People are always weary of, or leery, I guess, or both,
Right, or both.
Of what happens when they submit any kind of survey or data. Is it anonymous? Do their names get attached to it? And what happens to the data? Who gets it?
The data is being housed and it's protected by at Data Driven Detroit, and they handle quite a bit of data. Look, everybody's you know pretty much familiar with them. The only connection is we capture people's names and email addresses so that we can get them the incentive. So there's a gift card that comes with this, and that's important to know.
Yeah.
$25 gift card for completing the survey. We want to recognize that people are taking their time to do it and thank them for it.
Okay, so on that note, we're going to take a very short break here, about 90 seconds. When we come back, I do want to talk more about the gift card, how people can take the survey, and all the good stuff.
Okay.
So we'll be right back.
Thanks.
Welcome back to Local 4 Live, everybody. We're talking about this survey for Detroiters to take to help give a clearer picture of what the neighborhoods need. Again, this is Jay Morgan with the JFM Consulting Group. So you kind of teased us a little bit that Detroiters can take the survey and they get a $25 gift card. So
Yes.
Where is it to? How do I use this money?
It is just a Visa gift card.
Oh.
You can spend it wherever you want.
Okay. All right. So how do I take the survey? What's the easiest way to do it?
The easiest way is to go to nvidetroit.org
Okay.
and click the link and complete the survey there. We are also distributing flyers that have a QR code. We're working with community development organizations, the City of Detroit, and others to get it out there. But the easiest way is to click to go to nvidetroit.org.
Okay. In fact, we're looking at that website right now. Once we log in and start taking the survey, how many questions? How long does it usually take?
It takes about 15 minutes.
Oh, that's
to
not
complete
long.
the survey. No, it's not long, but you know, it's 15 minutes, and that's why we give the $25 gift card. We
How many
think that's a
questions?
good trade.
That puts you on the spot.
Yes, 60-ish.
Okay, gotcha. Going back to what exactly it is you're looking at, I asked you if there was a correlation between the answers and the money being spent or will be put into neighborhoods. How is that connection made? Are there City of Detroit leaders in whatever departments looking at this data to see where they should be putting resources?
We have engaged City of Detroit in the development of the NVI, of the index, as well as funders. And so, again, this is the second full year of implementation. Right. But yes, that is what we're expecting. We're rolling out the data from 2024, and we'll, on an annual basis, be able to build on that so that organizations, foundations, city can use this information to make investments, and not just independently. We want to encourage collaboration so that they're working together to invest in Detroit's neighborhoods.
Yeah. Now, I know last year was the first year, so you don't have a whole lot of data to work with just yet, but did anything surprise you? Did anything jump out and you say, wow, I didn't realize that was a challenge, or I'm happy that's how they feel about something?
Well, I mean, I can only speak for myself right now, but you know, I was pleasantly surprised to see that Detroiters felt as safe as they do in their neighborhoods, and that the people feel almost 80% that their overall quality of life, they're satisfied with that. That's a good thing. I mean, still there's room for improvement, but those were good things.
Yeah.
We found that 30% of residents feel that reporting crimes isn't going to be helpful because the police won't act on it. And so that's an area for improvement.
I see. Okay.
But overall, it was good to take a pulse and to be able to do this every year to see how the neighborhoods are changing and improving.
Yeah. You said that your goal is 6,000 respondents this year. But as somebody who I think you love numbers, you love data.
Yes, I do.
How many would you like to see? Like, what sample size gives you a real snapshot?
Well, that is the number we're getting.
6,000.
To get to, like, I think it's like 6,200, 6,100, something like that. We'll be able to make some statements about what's going on at what we call the neighborhood zone level.
Okay.
So yes, if we get there, we're golden.
Okay, so you're hoping that 6,200 of you watching right now will go on and take that survey.
Absolutely. 15 minutes, $25 gift card.
Not bad. Okay, Jane, thank you so much for your time this morning. I appreciate that.
Thanks for having me.
All right. Well, when we come back, we're going to check on your forecast with Ashley, looking at what the weekend could be. And let's take a live look in Hawaii this morning. A volcano is starting to slow down, but that was not the case earlier. You can barely see much out there right now, which probably is good news. Welcome back to Local 4 Live, everybody. Let's take a live look at Mount Kilauea on the big island of Hawaii this morning. Right now it looks calm, which is a great thing because yesterday was a completely different story. Take a look at this video of the lava flowing when it erupted 24 hours ago. What a magnificent and terrifying image at the same time. This is the 30th eruption this year, with each cycle lasting between 13 hours and sometimes up to 8 days. Right now, there are some hazards in the area, but no evacuations have taken place. All right, let's get to your forecast with Ashley. Hopefully a decent weekend on tap.
Now, forewarned weather with ExactTrack 4D.
We have isolated rain chances in the forecast today. Overall, still a mainly dry stretch, but the humidity building in, temperatures on the rise going into the weekend. Our best chance for widespread rain will be earlier next week. That comes with a frontal system that'll bring the chance for showers and storms. However, we're still contending with moderate pollutants out there on our air quality index, and this is for mainly all of lower Michigan. We do have one little pocket to our north that continuously improves, but for southeast Michigan, still a little bit of that thin smoke layer that we're contending with, and we will probably get a little bit more of it coming actually from the east. Now, this is not where the fires are, but that smoke that settled down out of Canada now into the Buffalo area will eventually kind of trickle its way to the northwest, and we're on just that western edge of that layer before it retreats north. So you might still have a little layer tomorrow, but certainly not thick enough to where we would see any air quality advisories. So probably holding on to a few areas with moderate pollutants tomorrow, but for today, 85, the afternoon high. That's the high that we hit yesterday over at Metro Airport. So almost an exact kind of copy of what we had yesterday with those isolated rain chances. And I do want to illustrate just how isolated and spotty they were, because you can see the areas of green here, just east of Howell into Farmington Hills, Livonia, and down south of Adrian are the only pockets across southeast Michigan that really got what would be notable rainfall. Others got a few little sprinkles here and there. We're talking a trace, but you can see right on either side of an inch in those spots that I just showed you. So it was a heavy downpour at times, actually triggered a flood advisory in that portion that was close to Farmington Hills and Livonia. So we did get quite a bit of rain in a short amount of time in those very localized pockets. And then here we go again this afternoon with the potential for that. So you blink, you miss those little spotty showers that develop. You'll see it again Friday afternoon. And I know that that shows at around 6, but quite frankly, anytime after the lunch hour is when we'll see some of those popcorn showers develop. If you don't deal with the rain, well, we're all dealing with the mugginess out there. That muggy meter on the rise, the air feeling tropical. It'll be heavy this weekend. The air temperature is also on the rise as we will be into the low 90s on your Saturday, Sunday. Dry weather, but when you pair it with the humidity, likely feeling like we're in the mid 90s. Best chance for rain, as I just mentioned, early next week. However, the difference from yesterday, we're kind of pushing this more so into Tuesday, Wednesday, as opposed to this being a late Monday, Tuesday event. So it's going to be a little slower to work its way into southeastern Michigan. So I think late Tuesday, Wednesday, you get that frontal passage that'll bring the potential for some showers and storms. But in the meantime, I mean, we're going to need that rain to cool us off a little bit. So come Saturday and beyond, we're going to be flirting with 90 degrees to round out this 7-day forecast.
Ashley, thank you so much. School supplies can really add up, especially for families struggling paycheck to paycheck. You can help more children start the school year off during our Go For It school supply drive. We're going to be at the Walmart on Dix Toledo Road in Southgate 1 week from today. That's August 14th from 6 o'clock in the morning until 6 o'clock at night. You can actually drop off supplies, including new backpacks, glue sticks, highlighters. Just scan the QR code there, right there, for the full list of school supplies needed. We have the same list on our website to clickondetroit.com. We're going to team up with the Salvation Army Downriver Corps to get them into the hands of the kids who need them most. You can also meet some of your favorite Local 4 folks. I'll be out there, Kim Gill, and I'm sure many others as well. We're going to go back on television in just a moment for a Local 4 News update. And then here, it's National Lighthouse Day. We're talking with a member of the Great Lakes Lighthouse Keepers Association and their work to preserve lighthouses around the Great Lakes. This is a photo of Chris Point Lighthouse in the UP. And that's our question of the day. What is your favorite lighthouse in Michigan? Scan the QR code there as well, or head to clickondetroit.com/vote to share your answer. Good morning, everybody. I'm Nick Monticelli. Today, a man found guilty of murdering his boss at a Clinton Township fence company will be sentenced. Jerry Motley is facing life in prison for his shooting his boss at Reliable Fence in 2018. Motley came to work armed and shot company owner Thomas Badke, killing him. He also shot a co-worker. This was Motley's second trial after his first conviction in 2019 was overturned. The jury rejected his insanity defense. Well, if you're watching us on TV right now, why don't you switch on over to Local 4 Plus or click on Detroit. We've got another 90 minutes of conversations happening on Local 4 Live. Today, National Lighthouse Day at 8:30. We're talking about the work to preserve lighthouses around the Great Lakes. And now we are 6 months out from the Olympics, and we're going to hear from a sibling duo who are working to get back in shape ahead of the games in Milan. Stay with us on Local 4 and Local 4 Plus.
From downtown Detroit, Local 4 Live starts right now.
Well, good morning, everybody. Thank you for watching us on clickondetroit.com, Local 4 Plus, and YouTube. If you're listening to us on the Click on Detroit app, we're glad you can hear us as well. Let's take a live look over downtown Detroit this morning. While the air quality is improving, hot and humid air is coming back to Metro Detroit as we get closer to the weekend. I'm going to check it with Ashley in just a few minutes. She's tracking a few isolated storms that could be popping up as well. Let's take a live look at St. Helena this morning, the lighthouse over in St. Ignace. Today is National Lighthouse Day across the country, and Michigan shining bright with the most lighthouses than any other state. Take that. This is a look at one of the lighthouses, actually a map of all of them, 129 lighthouses scattered along the more than 3,000 miles of coastline in the state. The Fort Gratiot Lighthouse in Port Huron is the oldest one in the state, opening back in 1829. And get this, every lighthouse is pretty unique because of the way they are painted. The color of a lighthouse represents the position of a lighthouse. For example, if one is completely white, that means it's hard to see at night because its backdrop is dark, like a dark forest maybe. Also, some lighthouses have colored glass panes to create distinct light sectors, indicating safe or dangerous areas. Now, the folks that maintain lighthouses are called lighthouse keepers. And in Michigan, we have the Great Lakes Lighthouse Keepers Association. They're preserving lighthouses around our Great Lakes. And joining me this morning is Wayne Sapolsky. He is a volunteer and historian with the Great Lakes Lighthouse Keepers. Thank you so much for joining us this morning, Wayne. I think we could probably fill a lot of time talking about lighthouses, things that people don't even know. But first of all, this is a pretty big day for you guys.
This is the 36th annual National Lighthouse Day. The first one goes back to August 7th, 1989, passed by a joint resolution of Congress back then and signed into law by President Reagan. It was designed to be a one-day memorial for commemorating the 200th anniversary of the passage of what we now call the Lighthouse Act. The Lighthouse Act was the ninth act of the very first Congress, and it was passed on August 7th, 1789. And it specified that the federal government would be responsible, especially financially responsible, for the establishment of lighthouses, beacons, buoys, and other aids to navigation on the navigable waters of the United States.
So, Wayne, I'm just curious, of the 100 and so lighthouses in the state of Michigan, how many is your group responsible for kind of maintaining and preserving?
Most lighthouse groups are responsible for just one, because our group, the Great Lakes Lighthouse Keepers Association, is now in its 42nd year, so we're one of the longest serving groups on the Great Lakes. We have two. We have the St. Helene Island Light that you showed a few minutes ago, which dates from 1873, and we have the Sheboygan River Front Range Light in the Sheboygan, Michigan, which dates from 1880. There's a group on the west side of the state in Leadington called Lakeshore Keepers. They are now taking care of 5 different lighthouses. But most lighthouse groups are dedicated to the preservation of just one lighthouse.
So what does it take to preserve and maintain a lighthouse? I mean, I can't imagine that's an easy thing to do.
It is not. It's very difficult. And for a nonprofit group, most of the groups involved in lighthouse preservation are 501c3 nonprofit groups. And it takes continuous fundraising and the continuous recruitment of volunteers. 99.5% of everything that gets done at these lighthouses, especially offshore lighthouses, is done by volunteers. Even our own Great Lakes Lighthouse Keepers Association, we've been around since 1983. We didn't get our first permanent paid full-time employee until 2006, and now even today we only have 2 with a couple of part-timers.
Gotcha.
Everything else is done by volunteers.
So aside from the funding, like what are you actually doing to maintain and preserve these things?
Well, we go through the historic records and make revisions back to the original plans when we can find them. Usually the plans are in the National Archives in Washington, D.C. Then it's a matter of repairing what needs to be repaired and interpreting. Most groups will pick a specific time period to which to interpret their lighthouse. For instance, most of these lighthouses did not have electricity when they were established. That didn't exist. So it depends how far back do you want to go in the time continuum. If you want to give up, do you want to give up your electricity if it's in there? If not, then you pick a time period after the electricity was put into the building.
Gotcha.
But you basically pick a specific time period for interpretation and just restore it back to its original appearance.
And then are there regulations on how they function and what they're doing? Like who sets the rules for these things? Is that the Coast Guard or is there another entity?
You know what happened? The Coast Guard got involved. Well, the Coast Guard took over all aids navigation in the United States in 1939. That's when the old Lighthouse Service was merged into the Coast Guard. And then in the early 1990s, late 1980s, early 1990s, the Coast Guard decided that they did not have the time, the money, the personnel, or the expertise to engage in historic preservation. And they said, okay, we will continue to take care of the light in the tower if the aid to navigation is still deemed necessary by the maritime community, but we don't want to take care of the buildings anymore. So that's when they began a process called accessing. And excess means it was excess to the needs of the service. And so they set up, what happened is that early on, before that period, lighthouses had been transferred under lease to different lighthouse preservation groups that were interested in maintaining that particular structure. But that created a kind of a hodgepodge of regulations. So back in 2000, the National Historic Lighthouse Preservation Act was passed. It was the first amendment to it was an amendment to the National Historic Preservation Act of 1966, and it specified a specific mechanism by which these buildings could be passed on to new stewards. And so the process is the Coast Guard decides that they no longer need the building or want to take care of it. They pass it on to the General Services Administration of the federal government. The GSA has an application process, and every year, even today, even up to the present, the GSA will publish a notice of availability for specific lighthouses as they are deemed unnecessary or they're deemed to be eligible for transfer.
Gotcha. Wayne, I gotta cut you short just a second here. Producer Mary says we're out of time, but if I can, and Mary, I'm sorry, one last question quickly, Wayne. What is like one nugget or one fact that people don't know about lighthouses that you think they should?
They are very important maritime artifacts. They represent the very best of human nature in terms of providing for the safety of men and ships and sea, and for the safe commerce and development of the United States. They were absolutely essential. Hard to remember a time, but back before planes, trains, automobiles, or even roads, everything moved by water.
Right. Right. Okay. Wayne, thank you so much. I could have an hour-long conversation with you about this, but unfortunately we're out of time. All right. Take care of yourself, and thank you for all the work you're doing.
All right. Thank you.
Take care.
Okay.
Well, as we mentioned, our question of the day is, what is your favorite lighthouse in Michigan? We have been getting answers all morning long. Take a look at some of them. Producer Mary actually put hers out there. This is the photo of Point O, the Bark Lighthouse in Port Hope. Marianne Mechler in Brindley, Michigan posted this photo of the Iroquois Lighthouse, and Bitsy Baudino in Holly chose the Marquette Lighthouse. Diane in Rochester chose the Round Island House near Mackinac Island. And finally, Nancy Marshall in Highland chose Eagle Harbor Lighthouse, which is actually kind of interesting on a whole different conversation, because we had a discussion on the morning show this morning about not realizing that lighthouses actually have their own names and not just saying that is the lighthouse, say in Grand Haven or whatever it might be. All right, a new fleet of aircraft could soon be making their way to Selfridge Air Base. Ahead, we're going to explain the funding to make all of that possible when we come back. Welcome back to Local 4 Live, everybody. More of your headlines right now. One of two Detroit parents being sentenced today for the murder of an 8-year-old boy. 37-year-old Jamar Hill pled guilty to a second-degree murder charge in the death of his 8-year-old stepson. This happened back in November at a home on Claremont Avenue in Detroit. The child's mother, Kentoria Moss, is charged with second-degree murder and lying to a police officer. In about 20 minutes, we're going to be taking you live to a news conference happening in Mount Clemens. The Macomb County Sheriff's Department giving us an update on a deadly shooting in Shelby Township. A police officer there shot and killed a Troy man in June when they say he pulled out a gun. Shante Passmore has more on this case.
Good morning. Really, in just a bit, we're expecting to learn much more about that deadly police shooting. At last check, that officer remains on administrative leave during this investigation. And this is scene video from that June 3rd police shooting. Authorities say officers initiated the traffic stop on a white Caravan near Van Dyke and 22 Mile. At some point, Thomas Antonio Jackson pulled over and got out of the car and began running away. Following a brief chase on foot, officers tried deploying a taser to stop the 41-year-old Troy man, and that's when police say the suspect pulled out a gun. After several warnings to drop the weapon, police ended up shooting him. Medics did rush Jackson to a hospital where he later died. And during the time of the shooting, investigators say they plan to look into why that suspect ran away. The Macomb County Sheriff's Office plans to hold a news conference at 9 o'clock this morning. We'll have that coverage on Local 4 Live and click on Detroit.com. I'm Shante Passmore, Local 4.
All right, Shante, thank you much. Let's take a live look at the White House this morning. New tariffs on goods from many countries now in effect. Before today, most imported goods had a minimum tax of 10%, but now the tax rates vary a lot depending on the country. This new trade policy comes after months of delays and negotiations. The president and his team say these higher tariffs have already raised over $100 billion in taxes. But some economists worry that these bigger taxes could make prices go up and slow down job creation. A live look now at the stocks futures boards this morning. Those new tariffs impacting what the markets could look like when they open up in less than an hour. Stocks are coming off a pretty positive session yesterday, and many analysts say the market volatility has dramatically declined in regards to tariffs since early April during the height of the tensions. We're also going to see how the markets are when Wall Street gets new data about the weekly jobless claims. The state of the labor market is in high focus following a disappointing July jobs report. And now a live look at Selfridge Air National Guard Base, which you can barely see off in the distance, but it is back there. That's where the base's journey to get a new fleet of aircraft is getting more funding. The U.S. Senate just approved a spending bill that includes $20 million for upgrades to Selfridge. This money will help realign the runway and get ready for the new F-15 fighters and refueling planes coming in the next few years. The funding still needs approval from Congress. And now a live look at downtown Detroit. Mark your calendars. The Ralph C. Wilson Jr. Centennial Park grand opening now set for October 25th and 26th. The 22-acre park will host the Detroit Harvest Fest with free live music, food trucks, fall activities, and fun for all ages. Visitors will be able to get to enjoy a 23-foot bear slide. What's a bear slide? Well, the opening will be I'm not going to go down it. It scares me, Mary. The opening will have the Detroit Riverfront Conservancy Group there. The group says this park opening is a massive step towards its completion of its vision of 5.5 miles of public access to the riverfront with a big slide. Have you ever wanted to go bobbing for pickles? Mary does. About 30 minutes away now. We're going to go to Lake St. Clair and get ready to get your gherkin on. We're going to show you all the fun you can find at Blake's Pickle Fest. Welcome back, everybody. Let's take a live look at Lake St. Clair in Fairhaven this morning. Many are already getting weekend plans together to hit the beach, but what about hanging out with something maybe a little more sweet and sour? 25 minutes west of Fairhaven or an hour north of Detroit, and you can be at the Pickle Festival at Blake's Cider Mill in Armada. Get ready to dill out with the best at Pickle Fest. Oh my gosh. Mary's having fun with these scripts. Get ready to relish the fun at Blake's Pickle Festival in Armada this weekend. You can spend the day living your best briny life. Pick your own cucumbers, make your own gherkins in the DIY pickle making workshop. Treats like fried pickles, pickle pizza, even pickle cocktails that'll really vinegar your spirits. Don't miss the pickle juice drinking, pickle bobbing, and the hilarious Pickle Spirit Costume Contest, where you can show off your best gherkin gear. There's actually going to be live music to jam to, a vendor market full of quirky finds, and legendary contests that'll have you in a pickle of excitement. Organizers say there is something pickly for everyone.
And then we also have just an array of pickle products that you can get just this weekend. So whether it's our jarred pickles, we have pickle popcorn seasoning, we'll have pickle cocktails. So we also have an artisan market coming out this weekend where the vendors are all selling pickle-themed jewelry, pickle-themed arts, and things for their home. So yeah, all different stuff that is just for this weekend.
I didn't know there was a pickle niche shopping experience.
You know what? We didn't either. Obviously, we ran with the idea of pickles, but then our customers have just gone crazy. Every time we post about the pickles coming, people are just excited. I think it's a trendy thing. People are interested in making their own pickles and gardening and, you know, things of that nature. So we're super excited for something that's brand new.
Well, you got to hear Mary's voice asking that question. Make sure you don't miss out on this sweet and sour or bread and butter celebration, whatever pickles you prefer. It's $7 a person to get in with an additional $11 to DIY your own pickles. It's happening Saturday from 10 until 9 and Sunday from 10 until 5. I know exactly where Mary is going to be on both days. Ashley?
Now, forewarned weather with Exact Track 4D.
We have isolated rain chances in the forecast today. Overall, still a mainly dry stretch, but the humidity building in, temperatures on the rise going into the weekend. Our best chance for widespread rain will be earlier next week. That comes with a frontal system that'll bring the chance for showers and storms. However, we're still contending with moderate pollutants out there on our air quality index, and this is for mainly all of lower Michigan. We do have one little pocket to our north that continuously improves, but for southeast Michigan, still a little bit of that thin smoke layer that we're contending with, and we will probably get a little bit more of it coming actually from the east. Now, this is not where the fires are, but that smoke that settled down out of Canada now into the Buffalo area will eventually kind of trickle its way to the northwest, and we're on just that western edge of that layer before it retreats north. So you might still have a little layer tomorrow, but certainly not thick enough to where we would see any air quality advisories. So probably holding on to a few areas with moderate pollutants tomorrow, but for today, 85, the afternoon high. That's the high that we hit yesterday over at Metro Airport. So almost an exact kind of copy of what we had yesterday with those isolated rain chances. And I do want to illustrate just how isolated and spotty they were, because you can see the areas of green here, just east of Howell into Farmington Hills, Livonia, and down south of Adrian are the only pockets across southeast Michigan that really got what would be notable rainfall. Others got a few little sprinkles here and there. We're talking a trace, but you can see right on either side of an inch in those spots that I just showed you. So it was a heavy downpour at times, actually triggered a flood advisory in that portion that was close to Farmington Hills and Livonia. So we did get quite a bit of rain in a short amount of time in those very localized pockets. And then here we go again this afternoon with the potential for that. So you blink, you miss those little spotty showers that develop. You'll see it again Friday afternoon. And I know that that shows at around 6, but quite frankly, anytime after the lunch hour is is when we'll see some of those popcorn showers develop. If you don't deal with the rain, well, we're all dealing with the mugginess out there. That muggy meter on the rise, the air feeling tropical. It'll be heavy this weekend. The air temperature is also on the rise as we will be into the low 90s on your Saturday, Sunday. Dry weather, but when you pair it with the humidity, likely feeling like we're in the mid 90s. Best chance for rain, as I just mentioned, early next week. However, the difference from yesterday, we're kind of pushing this more so into Tuesday, Wednesday, as opposed to this being a late Monday, Tuesday event. So it's going to be a little slower to work its way into southeastern Michigan. So I think late Tuesday, Wednesday, you get that frontal passage. That'll bring the potential for some showers and storms. But in the meantime, I mean, we're going to need that rain to cool us off a little bit. So come Saturday and beyond, we're going to be flirting with 90 degrees to round out this 7-day forecast.
All right, Ash, thank you much. An Olympic journey more than 2 decades in the making as we mark 6 months until the Winter Olympics. We're going to show you Ann Arbor's Shib-Sib's triumphant return to the ice. Well, the Winter Olympics now less than 6 months away. More than 3,500 athletes from 93 countries will travel to Milan and Cortona to compete this February, hoping to be among them the Shib-Sibs, as Maya and Alex Shibitani are often called. The Ann Arbor brother and sister ice dancers are making a comeback as we zoom live into the clock there, which you can barely see. It's kind of there. Here is Kimberly Gill.
They make it seem so effortless and natural. Their magic on the ice may have had something to do with the fact that Maya and Alex are brother and sister.
We've both grown so much as individuals, so to come together as a team in this way, it's been really dynamic and exciting.
We always support each other, but having this sort of shared experience back now, returning to competition, is something that we're really excited to embark on.
The Olympic journey for these two started at the tender age of 4 for Maya and 7 for Alex. They've trained in Canton and competed in the 2014 and 2018 Winter Games, winning 2 bronze medals in their last Olympics. The brother-sister pairing not only creating a unique bond on and off the ice, they're media darlings at various events around the world.
We have so much knowledge about our sport, but what's been really exciting is taking the fresh perspective that we have from challenging ourselves in other industries.
Yeah, we've been living in Los Angeles now for the past
6 years.
6 or 7 years. And, you know, beyond the world of skating, we've been able to introduce ourselves and educate ourselves in different forms of storytelling.
It was away from the ice where they grew their brand as siblings, skaters, authors, speakers, and more.
We started writing children's books in the fall of 2018, and it's amazing to realize now that it's been 4. For us, we've always loved storytelling, and so challenging ourselves in a different medium was super compelling, but then also thinking about representation and adding to the fabric of AAPI representation in children's literature.
It was a new creative outlet that let them shine in a world where skating wasn't the focus, something that is rare for these skating icons. Now their focus is back on the ice, preparing to compete in a third Olympics, and fans around the globe are ready for it.
What's wonderful is that it feels like nothing's changed about our approach to skating. We just understand so much more what we want to and need to do every day, so it's just following that plan.
And remember, we are the station for the Winter Olympics. You can catch it all right here on Local 4 in the winter time. We'll be working on new stories for you the next hour, including easier access to doctors at U of M. Michigan Medicine is breaking ground on a new facility in Oakland County. You might not recognize the property. And then we're celebrating 10 years of a program that helps small businesses in Detroit. And earlier, we mentioned that Macomb County Sheriff is giving an update on a deadly police shooting in Shelby Township. We're going to take you there live. That's supposed to start in about 3 minutes at 9 a.m. More news and weather in the next hour. Stay with us on Local 4 Live.
Local 4 News starts now with a breaking news alert.
And that breaking news is in Macomb County, where the Macomb County Sheriff is set to give an update on a deadly police shooting. Actually, right now, let's listen in to Macomb County Sheriff Anthony Wickersham. This is a live look. There you can see he is speaking. The shooting actually happened a few months ago, June, in Shelby Township. Police say They tried to pull over a 41-year-old man from Troy near 22 Mile and Van Dyke. Are we able to listen to what the sheriff is saying?
7 years of experience with the department. Only one officer was involved in the shooting. This whole incident elapsed at 32 seconds. The deceased has been identified as Thomas Antonio Jackson. He was 41 years old and resided in the city of Troy. The vehicle he was driving was a 2019 Dodge Caravan, which was registered to his mother. And these are the facts of the case. Jackson was stopped for a traffic violation. He fled the scene on foot. An officer gave chase, asking him to stop. A taser was deployed 2 times, which was ineffective. As you'll see in video that we will play, Mr. Jackson pulled out a handgun and continued to run. A second officer arrived, and you will hear him yelling, "Gun, gun." Mr. Jackson was ordered to drop the gun. Shots were fired by one Shelby Township officer at Mr. Jackson. A total of 8 shots were fired. Mr. Jackson was hit 5 times, once in the rear leg, once in the buttocks, and 3 in the upper front torso. Aid was rendered to Mr. Jackson by Shelby Township officers. Shelby Township Fire Department transported Mr. Jackson to Corwell Health in Troy, where he died from the gunshot wounds. Mr. Jackson had a 9mm Ruger P95 pistol in his possession. That pistol was reported stolen out of the city of Detroit in 2023 in a larceny from auto complaint. At the time of this incident, his license was suspended and he had several valid warrants for his arrest. The Macomb County Sheriff's Office was asked to investigate as an independent agency in this investigation. Our detectives gathered all information, body camera and car camera, canvassed the area to get all factual information. On completion of securing all factual information and evidence, the case was presented to the Macomb County Prosecutor's Office, where it was deemed a justified shooting. At this time, Prosecutor Lucido has a comment, and then after his comment, we will show you the video, and then we will take questions. Prosecutor?
Thank you. Thank you, Sheriff. Good morning, everyone. As the Sheriff has indicated, to ensure that there is no appearance of impropriety, as any other shoots that happen here in Macomb County, the Sheriff's Department basically has the resources as well as the wherewithal, the skill and the knowledge to identify those issues that are deemed within a shoot of a sheriff or any other law enforcement official. As a result, this matter was fully investigated, and an exhaustive review of the investigation came to the Macomb County Prosecutor's Office Major Crime Unit. That unit's comprised of individuals who have superior skill, knowledge, to discuss all of the evidence, all of the information, all of the body cams, as well as any other evidence that was presented. And after an extensive discussion among the unit members, they concluded this was a justified shooting and no charges would be authorized.
Thank you, sir. Our investigative team did meet with the family members yesterday. They do have an attorney that we have been corresponding with. Before they see this video, we wanted to make sure that we sat down and showed it to them. This type of incident is hard for everybody involved, the officers involved, and the family. So at this time, we are going to show you the video. We have a lot that is blurred out as far as faces and some of the graphic nature. Please be prepared. There is coarse language, and we've done our best to stay transparent, to show you exactly what transpired in this incident. So at this time, we will play the video.
Okay, so because of the potential graphic nature that the sheriff just described, we've decided not to show you that video. Not necessarily because we're trying to, in fact, we are not trying to hide anything. That's what the sheriff is showing this video for. But it's going to have graphic nature, and there's going to be graphic audio, a lot of swearing, as the sheriff mentioned there. So what's going to happen now is our crews are at the press conference recording this video. We're going to take it back into our newsroom, and then we'll likely be editing and just covering up some of the graphic audio because we don't want that to be shared. Once we do that, we'll have an opportunity to share it with you right here on Local 4 Live if we have the time to turn that around. If not, certainly we're going to be posting it on clickondetroit.com and YouTube. But just in the interest of possibly offending somebody, we're choosing not to show the video live right now because, number one, we haven't seen it yet, and we don't want anything extremely graphic to get across the air with which we haven't seen yet. And secondly, again, as the sheriff mentioned, there will be swearing, and that's just not something that you need to hear wherever it is you're watching right now. So again, you will be able to watch that. Just give it some time for us to take some graphic things out of the video first. We're going to continue with the rest of our show in just a moment. We'll be right back. Welcome back to Local 4 Live, everybody. Before we move on to the next story, I just want to recap what you just heard in that press conference there with the Macomb County Sheriff. They're saying that the shooting with Shelby Township Police back in June, they deemed justified. 8 shots were fired by officers. 5 hit the suspect in this case. He was carrying a 9mm pistol, and according to them, his license was suspended. He had several warrants for his arrest, and he refused orders to put the gun down. That is why the officers shot at him and why they determined it was a justified shooting. Okay, 9:09 here on your Thursday morning. Now to an expansion in Metro Detroit that will give more people access to the care from U of M's Michigan Medicine. Michigan Medicine actually breaking ground on its first facility in Oakland County. Patients will be able to get advanced cancer care, reproductive health help, and much more. It's going to be at the corner of Big Beaver and Coolidge in Troy, right across from Somerset Mall. If you recognize that area, it's because that's where the old Kmart headquarters used to be. We dug up this video from when Kmart's buildings were still standing on that 40-acre property. The headquarters was built in 1969, then left empty until 2006 when Kmart merged with Sears. Now to some drone video from 2023 when the abandoned complex was torn down. In addition to the Michigan Medicine facilities, developers want to build rental properties, stores, and a hotel there. So now let's flash forward to yesterday when the crews took the first steps to actually build this new U of M facility. There you can hear it and see it happening. To talk more about this, let's bring in Dr. Michelle Card. She is a professor and chair of the Department of Orthopedic Surgery at Michigan Medicine. Doctor, thank you so much for joining us. This is exciting for a lot of people, mainly here on the east side of the area, because we've got access to care that we normally would have to go to Ann Arbor for.
Well, thank you so much. We're really excited to to perform the ceremony yesterday for the Francis and Kenneth Eisenberg Troy Center for Specialty Care. We're thrilled at Michigan Medicine to be able to bring advanced specialty care from Michigan Medicine to Oakland County for the first time.
Yeah. So for those who are just kind of getting word of the groundbreaking in the new facilities, can you kind of walk us through what types of care will be offered there?
Yeah. There will be three main focuses. The first is advanced cancer services. So services for breast cancer patients, head and neck cancer, urologic cancer. Along with medical oncology, some radiation therapies, and cancer infusion services. And we'll bring that access to clinical trials and a big network to Oakland County. In addition, you mentioned reproductive services. There will be reproductive endocrinology and assisted reproductive technologies available. And then dear to my heart are the musculoskeletal services. I'm really thrilled to be able to bring 6 ORs, outpatient surgical services, as in orthopedics, as well as sports medicine, arthritis care, and physical medicine and rehabilitation.
I asked you for a brief overview. You've got a whole list there. It's great. Thank you so much.
It's a big list.
Yeah, right. How excited are you to be able to do this then? Because it sounds like you and a lot of the other care workers are going to be, kind of planting new roots and having a whole new opportunity here.
Oakland County is a wonderful community, and it's a place that we haven't at Michigan Medicine, we haven't had many services. We have so many patients that come over to Ann Arbor from the area, and now we feel just wonderful to be able to fulfill an obligation that we feel to those patients. We'll bring that care right to them.
Yeah, and please correct me if I'm wrong. I'm trying not to put words in your mouth, but I would assume that there's probably been long-going conversations about trying to get medicine and care into more areas so it's more accessible.
That is one of our dearest goals, to be able to bring care right to people. We truly believe that people do best when they can get the care, world-class care right near their homes. We get better faster when we're in our community and with our support teams. And so now we can bring that right to the people of Oakland County.
Yeah. Not to put you on the spot, but any idea the number of jobs this is going to be bringing to that center?
Yeah, we're thrilled. From construction jobs, where there's more than 375 of them right now, to techs and others. We have about 250 team members who will be working and employed in the center.
Okay, so if I am a Michigan Medicine patient and I am seeing this now and saying, I think I want to go see you once this building is complete and things are done, is it going to be kind of a seamless transition? Do I have to ask specifically that I want to be seen at the new center, or will that be an option brought to me?
Oh, we'd love to bring that option to you. Our phone call center agents really try to look where patients are calling from and get them to the closest Michigan Medicine Center. So look for us in the spring of 2027. We'll love to get you an appointment and see you in Oakland County.
Very exciting. I'm saying it right now. You're promising to take us on a tour before you open, right?
Oh, we'd love to. Can't wait.
Okay, sounds great. Thank you so much for your time this morning. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
All right, coming up here on Local 4 Live, the big news headlines of the morning, including President Trump's new tariffs now taking effect against dozens of countries. We'll be right back. Welcome back to Local 4 Live. Everybody, taking a closer look at the White House right now, where President Donald Trump has enacted a new wave of tariffs on dozens of America's trading partners. Before yesterday, experts say many of the country's goods were subject to a minimum 10% tariff. Now, rates were varied substantially depending on the country. President Trump saying in a statement, however, that commitments to manufacturing in the U.S. will help countries in the long run.
So 100% tariff on all chips and semiconductors coming into the United States. But if you've made a commitment to build, or if you're in the process of building, as many are, there is no tariff.
This is all coming as a meeting between Russian President Vladimir Putin and President Donald Trump has reportedly been set. That's according to a top Kremlin aide. Officials did not confirm where the meeting would be happening, but said the location has already been agreed upon and will be announced later. The meeting allegedly is set to happen as early as next week. Well, we are waiting to learn more about a sergeant who opened fire on his fellow soldiers at Fort Stewart in Georgia. The Army identified the suspect as Sergeant Cornelius Radford, who they say used his own handgun, not a military weapon. Other soldiers jumped in and tackled him and held him until he was arrested. The motive is unclear. The general in command says 5 people were hurt and they all are expected to be okay. Turning our attention to other news this morning, a man in Clinton Township in Macomb County is set to learn his fate after being convicted of murdering his boss back in 2018. Prosecutors say Jerry Motley showed up to work at Reliable Fence armed with a gun, shooting a coworker twice before turning the weapon on business owner Thomas Badke and killing him. After nearly 3 weeks of testimony, a jury rejected Motley's insanity defense and found him guilty of first-degree murder. That sentencing is happening later on today. A U of M researcher accused of smuggling biological material from China heading to court today for a plea hearing. Federal prosecutors say Chung Shan shipped packages containing material related to roundworms to a U of M lab and then lied to border officials about it. That hearing is set for 2 o'clock this afternoon. We'll be tracking what happens throughout the day and when that hearing actually takes place. Also happening today, a long list of things. A Detroit man will be sentenced for the murder of his 8-year-old stepson. 37-year-old Jamar Hill pleaded guilty to second-degree murder. In exchange, prosecutors dropped charges of felony murder and first-degree child abuse. This case dates back to last November at a home on Claremont in Detroit. The child's mother, Kentoria Moss, is also facing charges, including second-degree murder and lying to police. Let's take a live look over Detroit right now. A hot weekend ahead. Ashley has your forecast in just a few minutes.
now, forewarned weather with ExactTrack 4D.
We have isolated rain chances in the forecast today. Overall, still a mainly dry stretch, but the humidity building in, temperatures on the rise going into the weekend. Our best chance for widespread rain will be earlier next week. That comes with a frontal system that'll bring the chance for showers and storms. However, we're still contending with moderate pollutants out there on our air quality index, and this is for mainly all of lower Michigan. We do have one little pocket to our north that continuously improves, but for southeast Michigan, still a little bit of that thin smoke layer that we're contending with, and we will probably get a little bit more of it coming actually from the east. Now, this is not where the fires are, but that smoke that settled down out of Canada now into the Buffalo area will eventually kind of trickle its way to the northwest, and we're on just that western edge of that layer before it retreats north. So you might still have a little layer tomorrow, but certainly not thick enough to where we would see any air quality advisories. So probably holding on to a few areas with moderate pollutants tomorrow, but for today, 85, the afternoon high. That's the high that we hit yesterday over at Metro Airport. So almost an exact kind of copy of what we had yesterday with those isolated rain chances. And I do want to illustrate just how isolated and spotty they were, because you can see the areas of green here, just east of Howell into Farmington Hills, Livonia, and down south of Adrian are the only pockets across southeast Michigan that really got what would be notable rainfall. Others got a few little sprinkles here and there. We're talking a trace, but you can see right on either side of an inch in those spots that I just showed you. So it was a heavy downpour at times, actually triggered a flood advisory in that portion that was close to Farmington Hills and Livonia. So we did get quite a bit of rain in a short amount of time in those very localized pockets. And then here we go again this afternoon with the potential for that. So you blink, you miss those little spotty showers that develop. You'll see it again Friday afternoon. And I know that shows at around 6, but quite frankly, anytime after the lunch hour is when we'll see some of those popcorn showers develop. If you don't deal with the rain, well, we're all dealing with the mugginess out there. That muggy meter on the rise, the air feeling tropical. It'll be heavy this weekend. The air temperature is also on the rise as we will be into the low 90s on your Saturday, Sunday. Dry weather, but when you pair it with the humidity, likely feeling like we're in the mid 90s. Best chance for rain, as I just mentioned, early next week. However, the difference from yesterday, we're kind of pushing this more so into Tuesday, Wednesday, as opposed to this being a late Monday, Tuesday event. So it's going to be a little slower to work its way into southeastern Michigan. So I think late Tuesday, Wednesday, you get that frontal passage that'll bring the potential for some showers and storms. But in the meantime, I mean, we're going to need that rain to cool us off a little bit. So come Saturday and beyond, we're going to be flirting with 90 degrees to round out this 7-day forecast.
Ash, thank you so much. 10 years in the making. When we come back, we're talking to business owner as part of the Motor City Match program and how that program has helped their businesses.
From downtown Detroit, Local 4 Live starts right now.
Well, good morning, everybody. Welcome back to Local 4 Live. It's 9:29 here on your Thursday morning. I'm Nick Monticelli. Well, boosting small businesses in Detroit, that is the goal of the Motor City Match program. Loyal Local 4 viewers have probably seen dozens of celebrations as businesses and the owners celebrate all of their success stories. Believe it or not, Motor City Match has now been going for 10 years strong this month. The Detroit Economic Growth Corporation telling us nearly $20 million has been invested in more than 190 small businesses. The program is also helping underserved communities. 85% of the businesses funded are minority owned, and 70% are owned by women. The program launched a 2-day celebration yesterday. We showed you this downtown marketplace featuring plenty of businesses that have received funding from the Motor City Match program. That celebration continues with another event, another party tonight. So right now we are joined by some local business owners. Kanika Free founded the Salon Professional School of Cosmetology back in 2020, and the Motor City Match program director, Madison Schilling is here. Madison, let's start with you. 10 years is a big deal. Like, you must be very excited and happy about this.
Yeah, 10 years of making an impact on Detroit small businesses is incredible.
Right, yeah. I don't want this to sound the wrong way, so please forgive me. Did you think it was going to get this big? Because originally when we started, it was just kind of an idea, right?
Yeah. Admittedly, I've been with the program for 4 years, but from all the people that have been around this long, I don't know if it was anticipated to be this big, but we see the desire and the interest and the applications every quarter that support the fact that it is still needed, it is still desired, and people want to be engaged with it.
Okay, so Kanika, do you remember like the moment that you got the call saying, here's what you're going to get?
Yes. So we won. The Salon Professional School of Cosmetology was afforded the opportunity to be granted a $55,000 grant from Motor City Match. And it was huge in helping us finish our project to get our building ready to open to our students. So huge for our business.
I mean, huge to the point where you probably couldn't have done it without it, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It helped us in so many ways, and not just financially, but also all of the resources, the network, the opportunities like this that come along with being in the program, and all of the little plugs you get from being connected with Motor City Match.
One of the things that, because we've had a couple of business owners on the show talking about this, and Madison, to you and your team's credit, obviously the money is a very, very big deal, but the networking seems to be almost as important. Absolutely. And I think it comes in terms of the support, not just having friends, but an actual mentor or a guy that you can call and say, what do you think about this? How do you feel about this? I'm lost in this area. I mean, do you have similar experiences?
Yes, especially with trying to find an accountant, CPA. The Technical Assistant Award is really good. We won that as well. And so we got assistance with all of the background things that you don't see, that people don't see.
Right.
From the outside.
Yeah, they're just going to school. They're not worried about the numbers behind the scenes, right? Speaking of numbers, Madison, you mentioned all the applications still coming in. Like how in demand is this? How many applications are you still receiving?
We receive hundreds every quarter.
Really?
Yeah.
What's the qualifications or criteria? Like when somebody's applying, what are you and the team looking for in terms of who's going to get the money and how?
Yeah, so we dive into a lot of different things. We dive into your vision and plan for the business, your community impact, your knowledge, your transferable skills. If you're starting a new venture that you maybe haven't had experience with before, what other life experience can you pull from that's going to make you successful in that venture? And then also the finances behind it, right? We're looking to connect you with the CDFIs in the city and the other financial institutions to make sure that it's a fully funded project and we can get it off the ground.
Are there any types of businesses that you are more willing to fund, or is it across the board?
It's across the board.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Kanika, what is your advice for somebody who's thinking, well, maybe this could be my way to get things going?
I would say go for it. Contact Motor City Match.
They didn't pay you to say that.
Look at it. They didn't pay me to say that, but it's a great program, especially if you're just starting out. They have all the resources you need from beginning, from opening to, from idea to opening. And so I would say go to the website and really just dive in and apply.
2020 is when you founded, so 5 years in now.
Yes.
What's the growth been like? Where are you at?
The growth has been great, actually. It's been slow and steady, but growing for sure. And right now we are in the process of receiving our accreditation, which is great. So we'll be able to accept financial aid and federal funding for students to attend.
That's huge.
So yes, we are right in the thick of that process. And it's going well.
So are you able to have students now that just without financial aid?
Correct.
Gotcha. How many students have you had so far?
So far we have had 40 graduates.
Oh, okay.
And so again, slow and steady,
that's
we're making an impact.
Yeah, 40 is a big number.
I'm going to take a 40, and we're on track to enroll 15 more students in September. And we'll have a total of about 40 students in attendance at that time.
Now, I know you keep saying slow and steady, which is incredible, but like, what's the dream? Like, what do you want to do?
The dream is to franchise.
Okay.
I want to franchise. I want us to be a national brand.
Yeah.
So that's the goal. That's the dream.
And it happened because of Motor City Match.
Absolutely.
Incredible. Okay, any last words from you in terms of what people should know if they're considering, they have an idea, they have a little light bulb, and they're thinking this could be a business?
Yeah. Check out MotorCityMatch.com. Follow us on our social media platforms. We are launching Round 30 September 1st, so we'll be doing a number of in-person and virtual info sessions where people can learn more about the application process, what track they should be applying to, and then we'll also do application assistance as well. So we help people through the questions and the things that kind of stop them up a little bit.
I can't imagine being in meetings with you. You're probably just throwing things at the wall constantly, aren't you?
Yeah, a bit.
Yeah, right. By the way, we just had the information there on your screen. The 192nd recipient of the Motor City Match will have a ribbon cutting tonight at 6 p.m., followed by another anniversary celebration. That one by invitation only. If you got the invite, fancy you. If you're looking to boost your business, you can check out MotorCityMatch.com to apply. As Madison was just saying, the application's open quarterly. Thank you so much for being in here, and congratulations to you. And congratulations to the match as well. This is such an incredible program, and we love to see the opportunity for young entrepreneurs, or any entrepreneurs, I shouldn't say young, to have this kind of networking skill. So thank you much. Well, let's take a live look right now at the board. When we come back, we're going to break down the stock market and what might be ahead in today's trading. I do want to get you updated on that breaking news in Macomb County. The deadly police shooting in Shelby Township that happened back in June has been ruled justified. Police say they tried to pull over a 41-year-old man from Troy near 22 and Van Dyke. They say he got out and ran into the parking lot of Hot Spot Coffee. Shelby Township Police and now the Macomb County Sheriff say he refused to stop, so they used a taser. The suspect then pulled out a gun and was told to drop it. That's when they say they shot him. A total of 8 shots were fired. 5 of them hit the suspect, who later died. Again, the suspect, according to the Macomb County Sheriff, says he had a license that was suspended and did have several warrants for his arrest. Well, the stock market is now open for the day. Getting a live look at the board right now, currently up 0.52%. We are coming off the heels of the markets ending yesterday on a strong note. The Dow ending higher, up just about 0.2%. The Nasdaq surging up 1.2%, and the S&P 500 up 0.7%. A live look at the White House on this Thursday morning, where the Trump administration is kind of stepping up the presence of federal law enforcement in the nation's capital. Sources say the planned increase scheduled for today and Friday includes officers from ICE, the FBI, National Guard, and local DHS agents. This is because of an assault on a well-known former Department of Government Efficiency staffer that happened last weekend. Well, flights are once again departing after a technology issue prompted United Airlines to ground stop at major airports across the country. The airline had said in a statement that it was facing a, quote, underlying technology issue causing mainline flights to be held at their origin airports. It's still not clear exactly what that issue was or what actually caused it. Alrighty, a new opening date has been set for this stunning new park coming to Detroit Riverfront. The Ralph C. Wilson Jr. Centennial Park is set to open with a big celebration on October 25th and 26th. The two-day event kicks off in the morning with a press conference, then opens the 22-acre park for everyone to explore. The festival includes live music, food trucks, fall activities, and family fun like the giant bear slide and basketball courts. Well, finding ways to slow cognitive decline and the onset of dementia is something researchers have focused on for years. But what if a recipe for keeping your brain healthy was readily available to everybody? A new study finds that focusing on 4 areas can slow the effect of aging on our brains. Dr. McGeorge has what can keep all of us sharp.
Well, thanks for joining me, Dr. Novikova. So tell me about this new study that suggests some of our behaviors and lifestyle might modify our risk for developing dementia.
Yes, thank you for having me. It's a great reminder for all of us, this study that's called US Pointer Study that just came out, where we did confirm that the way we live does affect our brain health. And there are a lot of modifiable lifestyle behaviors that would decrease our risk for dementia or slow down the progression of dementia if we're already starting to have some symptoms from it.
So how was this study done?
So this was the study that was done over a 2-year period, and they had 2,000 participants, a little bit over that, where they had half of the participants given the recommendations about brain health strategies, and the other half were actually given a lot of tools and reminders and structure to implement those recommendations. And those recommendations affected several aspects of the lifestyle. That included dietary recommendations, overall health recommendations, things like blood pressure, cholesterol, diabetes. It implemented recommendations about exercise and social interactions and cognitive training. So there were several multifaceted aspects to what changes we wanted for people to have. But again, half of the people just have those recommendations and a little bit of the support. Another half of the people had a lot of support to actually help them implement those changes in their lifestyle.
And to be clear, these were all older individuals, 60 to 79 years old, correct?
Correct, yes. And that was also individuals who were at risk for developing dementia, such as they had personal risk factor related to medical health, or they had a first-degree relative with memory loss.
So diet, exercise, cognitive, exercises as well, brain exercises, and then some social factors with general lifestyle. I guess breaking that down, what were some of the dietary factors that were the most helpful?
So the most helpful dietary change was to change our typical American diet. That was challenging for a lot of people, obviously, but the recommended diet was something that's called MIND diet. It's a combination of Mediterranean type of a diet where you eat a lot of green leafy vegetables, fruits, nuts, fish, olive oil, and things like that, and not a lot of carbohydrates that we all like. And another part of that diet is low salt diet. So that helps to minimize issues with your blood pressure.
And how about on the exercise front? What kind of exercise was recommended?
The exercise that was recommended included a combination of different types of exercises. So part of that was what we called aerobic exercise, where you bring your heart rate up above a certain target. And the other part was strength exercising, so weights, resistant bands and things like that, and stretching. So it was a combination of different types of exercises stretched out over the course of a week, though there was specific recommendations on how much of each exercise you should be doing.
And on the front of cognitive training or brain training, what kinds of things did they do or recommend?
In this particular study, they do utilize the online program that's called Brain HQ, which has been studied in other studies before that, to show that it does help to train your attention and your executive functioning skills. So things that require multitasking, planning, execution. Those do improve day-to-day function, obviously. And in those exercises, they had to do different tasks on the computer with memorization, with decision-making, how fast can you make decisions, and choose things, options that they offer you, and things like that. And they were using that modality several times a week for 30 minutes at a time.
Excellent. And then finally, regular health checkups. What kinds of things were they focusing on that?
So the number one was blood pressure and cholesterol, as well as your risk for diabetes or prediabetes. These were the biggest modifiable risk factors that in collaboration with your doctor, that you can definitely improve those medical aspects of your health. And sleep was another one.
So how much of a difference did paying attention to your nutrition, exercise, brain health, and general health make in terms of your overall cognitive decline over those 2 years in the study period?
It was interesting that both groups were given an opportunity to improve their lifestyles. So, and both groups achieved some improvement and some sort of protection against dementia, slowing down their risk of developing more cognitive issues along. The group that was actually given proper support and opportunity to implement those changes did get more benefit than the people who were doing it mostly on their own. But even though people who were doing it mostly on their own, they still showed benefit from implementing those changes, no matter how small those changes were that they were able to implement. Like, you know, instead of going to the gym because they can't afford it, they were parking the car further away from the entrance to the store and putting their steps this way. So even baby steps really helped to decrease their own personal risks for developing dementia.
Excellent. All right. So I guess as a final point, what kind of recipe, if you will, would you recommend to individuals who want to protect their brain health?
I would say do one thing at a time. Don't overwhelm yourself with trying to do all of those things that we recommend. And I would honestly start with exercise. You know, we do rely on cars more often than we should be. And we do need to put more steps in. We need to do, you know, chair exercises if we can't really be very mobile. We can join some local class at the local gym or community center if we have opportunity. We can do a lot of things online if, again, the transportation or resources are limited. There's a lot of things that you can do, but do one thing at a time, create a routine, stick with it for a month, and then try gradually implement another little change. Maybe eating less carbs, something like that.
So build on it gradually until you have all four components worked in adequately.
Absolutely. And that's what they actually did in the study too. They didn't overwhelm people with everything at the same time. They gradually made it one change at a time with a support system in place.
Excellent. All right. Well, Dr. Marina Novikova, Henry Ford Health, thank you so much for talking to me this morning. I appreciate it.
You're very welcome. Thanks for having me.
Thanks.
And my thanks to Doc McGee. Experts also pointed out if you want to start building these changes into your life, You can start small, adding one part at a time. Don't get overwhelmed thinking you have to do everything at once. But to be clear, the study does show the better you can adhere to the plan, the better your results will be. Well, when we come back, Ashley has your weekend forecast. Some hot and maybe steamy weather on the horizon. Welcome back. A popular beach in Washtenaw County is closed to swimming until further notice due to high levels of E. coli. The Washtenaw County Health Department says swimming is not permitted at Independence Lake Beach in Whitmore Lake, but other forms of recreation that do not involve body contact with water, such as fishing, are allowed. If you have visited the beach recently, we've got a link to possible symptoms on our website at clickondetroit.com. Hey, Ash.
Now, forewarned weather with Exact Track 4D.
We have isolated rain chances in the forecast today. Overall, still a mainly dry stretch, but the humidity building in, temperatures on the rise going into the weekend. Our best chance for widespread rain will be earlier next week. That comes with a frontal system that'll bring the chance for showers and storms. However, we're still contending with moderate pollutants out there on our air quality index, and this is for mainly all of lower Michigan. We do have one little pocket to our north that continuously improves, but for southeast Michigan, still a little bit of that thin smoke layer that we're contending with, and we will probably get a little bit more of it coming actually from the east. Now, this is not where the fires are, but that smoke that settled down out of Canada now into the Buffalo area will eventually kind of trickle its way to the northwest, and we're on just that western edge of that layer before it retreats north. So you might still have a little layer tomorrow, but certainly not thick enough to where we would see any air quality advisories. So probably holding on to a few areas with moderate pollutants tomorrow, but for today, 85, the afternoon high. That's the high that we hit yesterday over at Metro Airport. So almost an exact kind of copy of what we had yesterday with those isolated rain chances. And I do want to illustrate just how isolated and spotty they were, because you can see the areas of green here, just east of Howell into Farmington Hills, Livonia, and down south of Adrian are the only pockets across southeast Michigan that really got what would be notable rainfall. Others got a few little sprinkles here and there. We're talking a trace, but you can see right on either side of an inch in those spots that I just showed you. So it was a heavy downpour at times, actually triggered a flood advisory in that portion that was close to Farmington Hills and Livonia. So we did get quite a bit of rain in a short amount of time in those very localized pockets. And then here we go again this afternoon with the potential for that. So you blink, you miss those little spotty showers that develop. You'll see it again Friday afternoon. And I know that that shows at around 6, but quite frankly, anytime after the lunch hour is when we'll see some of those popcorn showers develop. If you don't deal with the rain, well, we're all dealing with the mugginess out there. That muggy meter on the rise, the air feeling tropical. It'll be heavy this weekend. The air temperature is also on the rise as we will be into the low 90s on your Saturday, Sunday. Dry weather, but when you pair it with the humidity, likely feeling like we're in the mid 90s. Best chance for rain, as I just mentioned, early next week. However, the difference from yesterday, we're kind of pushing this more so into Tuesday, Wednesday, as opposed to this being a late Monday, Tuesday event. So it's going to be a little slower to work its way into southeastern Michigan. So I think late Tuesday, Wednesday, you get that frontal passage that'll bring the potential for some showers and storms. But in the meantime, I mean, we're going to need that rain to cool us off a little bit. So come Saturday and beyond, we're going to be flirting with 90 degrees to round out this 7-day forecast.
Ashley, thank you. When we come back, we're going to check in with the one and only Tati from Live in the D to see what's happening on Live in the D. Well, you send them, we show them. That's the mantra for our My Picks. And today's My Pick comes from Brock Joe, or Joe Brock. I'm not sure which one. Either way, he is showing us a beautiful sunrise in Lake Huron, celebrating his birthday. Well, happy birthday, Brock Joe or Joe Brock, one of the two. Remember, anybody can submit your photos under the My Picks tab on clickondetroit.com. You send them, we share them, as long as they're appropriate. So much more to come here throughout the day on Local 4. Tati is here from Live in the D.
Hello.
I'm very curious about this topic you're bringing to us.
So I kind of gave Nick a sneak peek.
Yeah.
We're going to talk about something on the show today called time poverty, right? So the new affluence in life is not money, it's having time. Can you relate to this at all? Because I know I can.
No, yeah, I'm poor then.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah. How do we get more of this time you speak of?
I mean, I think it's a very esoteric conversation in terms of like, oh, should people have more flexible schedules? All work from home. But that doesn't apply to our field at all. We need to be
I can't
here.
work from home?
No.
We can't move all of this to home.
It'd be nice.
We did during COVID.
We did during COVID. Somehow we made that work. But that's one of the big things that we're talking about. And it's funny because what I was going to lead with is I wish I was wherever Brock Joe was.
Tell me
today,
about it.
Right?
Or Joe Brock.
Joe Brock, whatever your name is. Thank you so much for sharing that beautiful photograph. But what I will say is the other thing we're talking about is kind of the blues you experience after vacation.
Oh,
Do you experience this?
So I have two issues. Number one, yes, I always experience that. Number two, I value my vacation days. So I don't take that extra day once I get home. So I was like, flights on Tuesday, I'm back to work Wednesday. That's a mistake too.
That's exactly what this article on realsimple.com says, is that put in a buffer day in there to give yourself time to decompress a little. But why? Why would I waste that time? That's how I feel.
I think you need it though, because you're right, the whole vacation blues thing, I think it kicks in faster and heavier when you don't have a little time to reflect on all the time you just had and what you were enjoying.
That's true, but like you said, those vacation days, they're sacred.
All right, that is coming up on Live in the D in 1 hour and 3 minutes from now, right here on Local 4. If you're leaving us, make it a great Thursday, everybody. But as always, the news is always live at clickondetroit.com.